Nice to meet you.
Well, it's my pleasure. Yeah, it's a really, really nice to. I love teaching and I love doing contributing to just for learning and showing, even if it's a chord or picking or fingering or whatever. I mean, I like to share that. You know.
Well, that's greatly appreciated. Just so you know, this is David Karras with GuitarBandDVD.org here. I'm here with John Pisano, and John is a masterful guitar player. John's been on at an extensive discography. He performs regularly. He's also an instructor at a very respected college which has a fantastic jazz program here in Los Angeles, which is Cal State Northridge.
Right. Yes.
And John performs, has his weekly guitar night, which is if you make it to Los Angeles and you happen to be, it can get down to the valley side, which is there's an area called Sherman Oaks, which on Ventura Boulevard has a couple of really great jazz clubs. One of them is Spazio, and John is been in charge of the guitar night there for how long has it been now?
Well,
how many years?
Well, I think it's going into 8 years, but the total guitar night has been going into, I think it's going into 13 years now.
Wow.
This is the third location, but we've been at Spazio the longest, and it's a beautiful club, and
That is a nice place. Yeah, that's great.
so and it's been very successful for Tuesday night to find more than 3 people in any kind of a club. You know, it's in this day and age.
Oh, last time I went to go down and check it out, I couldn't get in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Not on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was
well,
really.
Who was there? It must have
I
been
can't remember.
probably
It was
Django
It
Reinhardt.
was a little. Yeah, right at the Ghost of Django.
Yeah. Well, that would figure.
Right. I want my fingers back.
We've had a number of sellouts. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know, and I've seen you, of course, play there with various other people, and some great. I love Chuck Berghofer. Wow, what a player. Yeah.
Well, Chuck is a dear friend of mine. We go back to when he was a teenager, actually. I wasn't much older, but it seemed in those days, 3 or 4 years difference would make a big difference. But now looking at it, we're both old. But
hey, you said you were only 25.
I lie.
I guess I was looking from a promo shot a little bit earlier. I want people to check you out a little bit more thoroughly after this little interview that we're going to do here.
Okay.
And can you tell them your web address, and I'll flash it across the screen. I know there's a couple places because you also perform with your wife, right?
Yes.
The Flying Pisanos.
Yeah.
Don't you love that name?
Well, our website is flyingpisanos.com, and also if you go to johnpisano.com, Eastman Strings, a company that made this guitar, they put together an interesting site there with actual photographs of so many of the album covers that I've done through the years.
And that's really fun. I mean, you were like doing stuff with like Sergio Mendes in Brazil '66, but you're also playing with some pretty contemporary people like Diana Krall.
Right.
Can you tell I know some of the people watching might be a little younger and familiar with that more than let's say some of the older artists, which are every bit as great. But you just did some work with Diana Krall recently, right?
Yeah. Well, it's probably 3-4 years now, but we did. It happened. They were recording at Capitol, and I got a call to go in and do a couple of tunes. They had great guitarists from all over the country that had joined her on various sides, and they called me in, and she liked me, and I wound up. It was on. We used the tracks on the album, and Klaus Ogerman, who's this magnificent arranger that I've admired from afar for years and years. He lives in Germany, I believe, in Europe. And anyway, I walked in and had a chance to meet him, and he showed me the music, and we nailed it down, and he was very pleased. And then she called me for a couple of other things to do. I did Tonight Show with her shortly after that, and then called me to do a concert in Paris with a full symphony and full jazz band. It was magnificent at the Olympia Theater.
Wow, that's a really venerable theater. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I mean that's
yeah.
a slice of history. You play it.
Exactly.
That's like you know, like Carnegie Hall here, or
Exactly.
yeah.
And interestingly enough, I had worked there previously with Herb Albert and the Tijuana Brass, and that was in the late '60s when I did that in Paris. So we went there for a week, and of course I brought my wife. I wouldn't go any place without her. And we had a great. It was maybe a week and a half there.
What a great experience!
And
huh?
I don't know. I would advise, not only because for any reason. I think the reason I would give is I think this is the most. It's probably the most perfect jazz music video that I've seen. The camera work is magnificent.
What is the video? So people can go get
it.
It's
Diana Krall live in Paris.
Diana Krall live in Paris. Go get it.
And there's and I'm right up there. Looks like I'm on. It looks like I'm on the piano. What happened is Diana. We went into rehearsal one day and they were setting up for the film crew and she noticed that they opened the lid of the piano and it was like she was concerned. She said, I don't usually open, and they said, well, we want to get some shots through the lid, And she said, well, the thing is, no one will see John.
Oh.
So what they did is they built a big platform, and I'm up on top of the piano.
Oh, wow.
Anyway,
well,
it was fun.
Really?
And she's a wonderful lady.
Well, what albums did you play on with her?
Well, actually, let's see, maybe The Look of Love. I can't remember the title of the first album, but then there was the video, and then they did another live album in Paris that was shot the same time they did the video.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So anyway.
So that's really kind of experience that you really not many people get to have. I mean, you're.
Oh no. Well, I've had I could go on and on with stories about experiences I wouldn't have had if it hadn't been for the music business and the contacts. Some great memorable performances that stick out in my mind.
What are a couple of those? Tell us
it's funny.
about.
I was thinking about this recently. One of them, particularly, was doing concerts with Benny Goodman. Because I grew up listening to Benny Goodman and Charlie Christian, and all of a sudden, here I was on the stage, and Benny was right here next to us, like you're playing alongside and playing all of those same tunes that I grew up listening to, and tried to steal all of the Charlie Christian notes, and it was just an amazing feeling to be there.
I can imagine that really inspired you to really continue that course, and do that.
Oh, well, sure, yeah. Well, and anyway, other experiences that stand out musically. There were a lot that I remember vaguely because they're, like being presented before the Queen in England, playing at Royce Hall, actually meeting and hanging out with the Beatles at.
Oh wow.
And spending a whole evening just the Tijuana Brass and the Beatles, like we were big hits at the same time, However, they extended a little longer, But another experience that was close to me is that I worked with Peggy Lee for many years, and Peggy was I admired her musicality, her ability to really capture the audience, and she was just extremely talented. I loved her, the singing, everything about her, and she became a very good friend. And I conducted for her for a while, and wound up conducting at the Waldorf Astoria, and held over a couple of weeks. I remember one night in particular that my folks came in, my mom and dad. They were celebrating one of their anniversaries, and Peggy announced their presence, and that's another highlight for my personal